few points I need to make for today. I heard on some kind of Muslim lobbies out there talking about getting into being endorsed in the mainstream culture, and the comment being made, well, as much as we can be married in this kind of fashion. It was about fashion design or something, and Muslims awakening. I really don't know why they need to get married in order to become whatever they want in the already established solidly and loudly some kind of cultural and civilizational standards on the planet. Why they need to get married into it. Israel and whatever is behind you, we will need to understand. I mean, they are obviously talking about some kind of obvious initial capital. Why that has not stopped? Why these people are still talking about one same protocol as you're not capable ending it? What's going on here? I mean, we established that Americans by now are printing as much money as they need, which means anyone in any other country can do exactly the same, because there is no really someone that can control you that much, for sure. It's just an excuse. And you can actually start even using leaves from the trees for money. Basically, we are reaching that level, because after all, it's going to be all about how many goods are going to be in the store as well. Not only how much leaves you can get in the pocket. I mean, you can collect from the tree as many leaves as you can collect in the pocket, and then go in the store and ask for as many products as you want, but then it's going to be limited upon how many products there are in the store. Very often you find in the store you cannot purchase more than 3 or 5 items of something. That is what explains very good, very properly to you the power of money and how far the money can go. You see, when someone makes that kind of rule, that means doesn't matter how much money you get in your pocket, you can't buy more than 3 bottles. I mean, it might be, end of the world today, and you have plenty of money, you have entire gold in your somewhere hidden out there, entire room full of gold. But if they say, well, I can give you only 3 bottles of oil, for example, well, your entire room full of gold is going to be pointless, because you can't get more than 3 bottles. That is very much in war times. People always realize how pointless money are when you end up losing your life, and then many people just start wondering what a fool I have been, thinking that everything is in money, when I'm going to lose my life as the most ordinary bird on the tree, and all the money in the world can't help me. That is how you end up thinking when you find some kind of caught with some kind of wild gorilla somewhere in Cambodia, or somewhere in some kind of extreme conditions, or in wartime, or in times of some kind of deficit of something. Also, when there was electricity in deficit in our countries, I remember few times per week there would be power cut off. Or it would not make any difference if you have more money. You're still going to not to have a power in your apartment. I mean, it would not make difference if you have more money on the bank account. So there are situations where money are not going to solve it. Money are not all of the answer to all of the questions. Now, if you want to say, well, yes, but they are answer to some of the questions, these questions are not yours. The rest of the questions as well, they are not your questions. They're questions of humanity, and never will be questions of 1, 2, or 3 people, or I don't know how many, on some group of people. That is never going to happen. The rest of the questions are also questions of humanity, which means that your money in all of this story make very insignificant position, and I have to notice that you are giving them way too much attention beyond how much they are important. And also, when you think that, you end up thinking that you're earning, I don't know how much money as a person, basically, you would not know in what context to exist versus the rest of the humans, and why someone gave you to have that much of money. I mean, no one is going to give you that much of money as an accident, because some of us also are trying to get that much money overnight, but it is not happening overnight for some of us. For some of you it's happening, for some of us it's not happening. What that means? Or watch the movie Lost, the TV series, serial called Lost. They're explaining it there properly what means when you get a lotto ticket, or when you get chosen for high income generation. Well, that means you get registered in special registry, which means you become their ballerina. Money are power and controlship, of course. And if you exist as a little butterfly in that game field, then that is what you are. Are you controlling the game? No. What, you're a butterfly? Well, yeah, stay assured that that is exactly how your life is going to be. A life of a butterfly. And then you promote it to the rest of the planet, of the humans as a butterfly. But you will not forget what you are. You're a butterfly in that game. And that is exactly why they are paying you. They're paying you exactly for that. No one is going to give you money for nothing. Don't you ever think that you are being given money for nothing. That would be some kind of promotion. You're being given money for promotional purposes, like a marketing or something, so you can lure more people into it. In other words, money do not win. Everything else win ahead of money. Money are not winner. Never were and never will be. And when empire also look as they are winning on the money, no, they are winning on the system. They managed to build a system that works for them. That system is beyond money. It requires plenty of details or parts in that mechanism that are beyond the money. It is on the level, it would be on the level of skillful people, which money cannot buy, of course. Or can buy, but cannot create. I mean, usually can't buy because you need to create them. People do not fall from the sky. You need more than money in that case scenario. You need good teachers. There are many items that make the stronghold of the empires based on what money cannot buy. So I can claim here today, money do not win, and nothing is about money. And if you have money, you have been chosen to play some kind of kakadu in certain context. Someone allowed you to have that much money for purposes of being someone's ballerina for some kind of different kind of situation. Now that is how intelligent mind thinks, and that is what we call intelligence. Elon Musk, this is what we call intelligence. This can be easily confirmed if I ask you now to follow each of the billionaires, millionaires, and trillionaires out there on the planet, which I would like to really police today, and use that song of Sting for purposes of really policing today on every step they make, the millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires, so we can show the meaningfulness of having money and purpose of having money in our lives. And in that context, there is one more aspect I would like to say, a part of being the political task now for political purposes, that we need to follow now your millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires, because it has become planetary political question. In that direction, it is not therefore against your flag, it is against what you're doing under that flag. And we as a planet are going to investigate that, because it is democracy everywhere and people can do whatever they want. Well, then people of my kind are going to do this because people of my kind would like to do that. It's definition of freedom and freedom rights. We are going to therefore use our drone technology to investigate 24 out of 7 what millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires are doing on this planet. How they're wasting their money, on what, and things like that. And we establish how many of them are butterflies, how many of them are slaves, and how many of them are cakadoos. Because I think I can bet they would be these would be the 3 available categories in which they're going to polarize. In other words, people of real power would not be people with money. So if someone wants to, for example, to hit me, they don't hit me on the money subject. They are hitting me on the subject of what I'm doing. They're using the money interface because they're not up to employ any other interface to get me. But that's the only one that they can use against me. Therefore, you can see money in this case scenario. Someone is using money to fight certain events. But on more absolute levels, that's not going to make a difference between a bird and a kakadu. Or the bird is a kakadu. It's not going to be that's not going to be to make a difference between what it is one form versus what it is another form on much more absolute levels. It's not going to change it. Money are not going to change our formation. Neither someone can go that far with money, apart from the fact that they can go away with killing someone, but they cannot win a territory. Money do not win this level of arguing. That is, on upper levels, money do not win. Therefore, money are lower level of game. Money are not upper level of game. Money are lower level of game. You may have all of the money in the world, but if everyone is laughing at you when you get on the street, when your friends are not your friends, where everyone hates you and exists in envy of you, your money are just for your own sake. In that case scenario, they become your little heaven place. How much that is exactly what would you like? On more absolute levels. Our socialism was made out of fake promises. One of that would be that we would be all equal. Of course, it was not possible to promise that, because technically that's not absolutely correct answer. As we all are equal on some kind of basics, but in substance, when it comes to certain level of positioning, power, or engagement, it's still going to be employed professional standards of skill, knowledge, intelligence, character, basics. And that is, at that point, equality is not exactly what we are talking about. You can say to have fair or equal treatment when applying for a job, but still going to make a difference what kind of job you're applying. That is, equality is where that exists in a context. There are a couple of aspects that the socialism delivered to overall satisfaction, and that is clean, neat, and organized living. Clean, neat, and organized living. The materials, how much you could have buy. It was also what is in the stores, and it was what was in the stores was of standard quality. There was no ability to buy more than what you need, and that was what you could have buy. It was very much based on quality of the material and quality of the ingredients, standard quality. In substance, it was based on theoretical premises. That is when you are doing architecture of the hotel, for example, or whatever. You first make the model, and then you bring it on the ground. This is the model. Was basically based on premises of limited consumption and qualitative consumption. Less, but of more qualitative, rather than more and of lower quality. Or one says standard quality. How much on national level that would be depends on the national capacity, national geographic configuration, national historic configuration, and of course capacity of international orders to provide some kind of mitigation and provide some kind of long-term program for development of the regions. Or at some point of time, to some regions would be paid more attention than to others, if there is enough excusable reasons for someone to attempt. Otherwise, one would say, I'm always going to invest in the most promissory, or in the kid that is more promissory, so that kid can go higher and eventually would be of help for everyone else in the family. Similarly, you would think like that of nations. If I allow some nations that does have higher rating to continue to develop, then probably at some point they will return and help the rest. And for quite some time, I think all societies have been thinking, and some of them still continue to think like that, supporting various, giving even what they don't have to support more powerful countries, hoping that somehow at some point it's going to return to them. Although they would give even the last penny they have to someone that already have in abundance, just hoping that it might turn their ways, and it might not throw to them bombs anymore, but maybe a bit much more of a goodwill. Today, of course, we have to ask, is it worthy such kind of political calculative, or we have lost the best kid in the family, worthy to be invested in for the sake of the future of all. Another question is, from national perspective, is, would anyone need more of you underdeveloped to become developed somewhere else, under your terms of underdeveloped? And how many of underdeveloped the one that are developed would need, really, or should need, or they're not going to be asked anymore for an opinion? So if we transform developed into underdeveloped, when we are going to reach the developed? Because it takes a bit more than playing a fashion idiot on the streets when everyone talks about garbage and containers. Out of such people, is it the right time to play fashion now? Muslims, is it the right time to play fashion? Unless you want to fill the containers with the speed of light. You're like catching the train now. There's like Serbia wanting to get on the market of trading girls. After Macedonians for 2 millenniums holding the throne. The Serbians are like going to catch up. Without a notice. 21st century, for God's sake. God slide vertical point there. This is same story, Muslims getting into fashion now. Just get all profit, get Bedouin fashion. Recently is all that you can find in the stores. Fashions for Bedouins. Pants all the way to under your, all the way to your folding, all the way to your knees, for the sake of comfortability. I mean, yeah, we already started to get the guidance, the latest guidance in the fashion industry, directly exported from the Muslim brilliant talents. What I wanted to say here under the second point is how many Muslims are going to be enough for England, America, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Before I declare the stamp of Henry in England and bring everyone on their knees or else as alternative. A question of today, how many Muslims would be good enough for you? As a real question, require your answer. How many? We need a number here. How many? Provide a number. Then we talk about England and the umbrella. First the numbers, the statistics, then the umbrella, and the name and the color of the umbrella. It's all going in English now. Let's notice at this point the umbrella does have colors, comes in colors as well, in case you haven't noticed. Africans. What one can learn from the previous is don't try to catch up with what is not your event, so you don't end up instead in Las Vegas, you don't end up in Haški tribunal. I mean, who on earth wants to end up in Las Vegas anyway? Serbia in 21st century, exactly. We are therefore talking about the notion of everyone to play in any of the historic times what they're the best talented for, and for everything else. And if there are people that are not that much talented into anything, well, then they should be having the problem. Not the one that do not have to play what they do not have to play. Now let's translate the. I'm not speaking in the numbers. Nation comes after, not before. It's first a person, then it's nation. Follow the route here. I'm going to enclose, therefore, as one of the next questions, translation of the word sward. Sward. What means sward? Yeah, let's decode it in English. First of all, let's notice it is happening in English. So Serbia will need to be mentally transcend themselves within the formation of English history if they want to understand it from English perspective. If they are not going to understand English words sitting in Serbia, they are going to understand as Serbs English word when they sit as Serbs in England. There are people of Serb descent in England as well. That is the Serbia we talk about in that context. It's pointless to understand that word on some other territory than when it is emerging. You need to understand it in the context of territory where it is emerging. And also to notice that it is emerging exactly there rather than somewhere else. I mean, if I'm in Serbia, it's going to be monarch. I'm going to be humble to God, to the ground, and pray to God, and be submissive and vulnerable and really everything submitting to the power of God. In such kind of cultural setting, it's not exactly that Sword of Excalibur is going to emerge, because Sword is actually very much existing within that kind of category of vertical energy, what reference to God would be, or sainthood. Let's get a bit more democratic or flexible. We understand that God is a reference to sun, energy of sun. We talk about higher level of some kind of mental trajectory, personality, characters that are going to project a certain period of time, higher level of mental energy in format of leadership. And they're going to, with their clear, intelligent mind, provides leadership to people in given time of certain territory. It is classic reference to political leadership as a matter of certain higher mental capacity. Intelligence, reasoning, ability to notice things, ability to proceed on things, having some kind of fair character, having some kind of moral values, bringing really upper character formation in certain configuration. It is happening as a reference to rule of king, not rule of priest. As I argue that you need to bring a very high degree of moral capacity, it will certainly collide here the traditionally understood as a sainthood features within the monarchical identity. The notion of sword still resides on monarchical side, not on the religious side. When you find yourself in Serbia today, religion is much more powerful than monarchy. And people are also willing to give much more power to religion because they really want still to think about someone being laid out by entire village, than someone to be ruled, than the village to be ruled by someone. They would rather to lay down that person in a collective maniac creaturehood mode than to accept to be ruled by it. In more prime societies, you can't be at any time thunder that can kill thousands of people in one go, so everyone can hide under the ground because of you. Better do not get on do not declare yourself. That is why on that territory you have much more history of dragons than of swords, because there is no democracy there. You can't slash 1,000 people in once, but don't declare yourself. You'll be wasting your time. Therefore, you need some kind of accomplished level of democratic civilizational development within the considerable level of civilizational infrastructure for someone to be in capacity to spell out sword, mean it, and actually survive upon it. I'm not going to accept religion because church means crkva means crkniova. Crkniova means crkniova means such pagan language that relates to someone to be slaughtered in singular. And certainly crucifixion of Jesus. Crkva means Jesus crucified on a cross, literally. literally. Basically, it is about killing Jesus. It's not just Vatican. It's concept of religion. It is very much based on sacrificing the one that dares to rule the crowd, the one that dares to say to people what to do. Sword is English word, does not translate in Serb language, and I'm going to leave it there. Translates into match. In Serb language is match. Match is actually English word which means match, matching. So we talk about some kind of relative or something. Relative, distant relative. Second argument, my name is Mary, not Maria. It goes in English, not in British, that is. Not in Croatian, because Croatia do not have the word sword. And Mary doesn't go without sword anywhere. I mean, you see Statue of Liberty. Sword is S word. What means S? Sharp, S for sharp, and S for sky. Upper consciousness, with clear vision and clear talent for leadership. Stamp in its core values, core characteristics. Question number 3 or 4 now. Why I have problem to bring this in England? USA, Australia, New Zealand, and Canada. Should I wait for them to answer me how many Muslims more they need in order to continue to be who they are? Or it is about that we declare the news? That's not going to make them who they are, but it's going to make them out of capacity to defend their own history and give me full right to declare that stamp in England and round everything else on their knees, or else. Once I will sunrise in the morning and sunset in the evening. I'm not sun. Sun is sitting out there with the rest in the center of the solar system. I'm not sun. I'm not moon. I'm not earth. I'm sword. Repeat it. Repeat that and write it in your notebooks. I'm sword. Now you tell me, is it sword rising up in the morning and setting down in the evening? Word. Sharp word of sky. Is it rising up in morning and setting down in evening? Can you say that for sharp word of sky? It's going in English language and it will need to be answered in English language. Should I ask again how many Muslims you will need in order to be Muslims? I mean, in order to be English. Or that's not the catalyst. Or I can ask that question to the end of the day. I'm just asking for proper understanding of the meaning of word sword. That's all. Not killing people. I'm asking for proper answer here. What on earth means word sword here? In English language. in British language. And don't go after my kids because they have been learning from a very early age how to write, how to read, and very ambitious in reading, writing, and being literate. They know exactly what it means to be literate and what is the meaning of a word in any given time. So they will not be confused. My kids will not have that kind of confusion. They're not, sliding from some kind of mountain, wild places, like they have not heard about book or literacy or things like that. So like they don't know. These are all pagan languages. We're living 21st century and we don't have time to waste our lifetime on some people joking about matters here. We don't have time for joke. Do you have still systems on the territories under your jurisdiction that are providing parallel education to our kids? In that given context, in the context of this presentation, who will be blamed? First of all, I get you hostages because I would not like someone to harm my kids. And if we need to bring that sword rider under your beard and neck, so be it, as long as it takes until you answer to me the question, proper question. What is the system responsible for this level of confusion? Now, you will learn how to speak in system terms as long as you use English language and live and dare to declare yourself under English-speaking territory. You will learn to bring in your conversation mega perspective as good morning. You will learn to bring mega perspective as good morning or do not bother to speak English language. On mega perspective, we talk about systems. What kind of system continue to promote this kind of confusion over our kids? And why our kids continue to be wasted in this Western confusion? I have not come here to confuse my kids. We have come here under assumption that they are going to get better education, not higher level of confusion. We found here is some kind of nest place of all sorts of confusions one can possibly think of. Like a house of crazy freaks and lunatics rather than house of clarifications and higher education. You don't have time, you don't have right to cash upon the education system when you actually don't have it. You don't have right to cash on history which you have lost, or historic identity you have completely lost. So I'm going to assume that's going to answer my question why I'm not being given proper confirmation about my Sward status of this work going in English under my English name. Probably the answer would be because there is that much of a lost history out there, a lost identity, and everything went so much confused and in some kind of status of Gordian knot that people simply just can't make any sense of anything anymore. But I certainly continue to have millionaires, billionaires, and trillionaires that appear to know exactly very well what they're supposed to do next. These are the people we are going to follow from now on 24 out of 7, so we probably learn much more about how to live our lives as well, or how not to live our lives. In any case scenario, this is therefore going all in the English language under the authority of Sward of England. We need to understand in whose hands the power of England has fallen and in what purpose. And in what purpose. As for Trump and trumpets, before they go into discussing extraterrestrial dimension on Earth out of blue, I would like to ask them to answer the very specific question, how many Muslims would be enough for them? That is going to be a question that is going to qualify anyone to step up on being authority about extraterrestrials on Earth. When they first answer how many Muslims are going to be good enough for them in America. Without them answering that question, they will not qualify for discussing extraterrestrial question. That question should be discussed from the real authority of Earth. You need to prove first that you are, in other words, not extraterrestrial yourself. Or otherwise we might end up losing our human under some kind of fake presentation. These are very high stake levels of jurisdiction. One will need to earn such high authority. The first question would be therefore for such qualification of trumpets to get a notebook and answer the question, how many Muslims are going to be enough for them? Before they launched the investigation of extraterrestrials, and was this latest joke or something? Going under Benny Hill of America flag, which is not Benny Hill. Neither Benny Hill looks like a Benny Hill anymore. I mean, it's not Benny Hill, Benny Hill. It's someone else. Do you understand my point, trumpets? Trumpets. Where's the sword? Without the sword, you don't play authority. Earthians, hallelujah and salute. Get sober. Then you open your mouth and talk. First, get sober. Answer your questions of today. Get a notebook, answer your questions for today. Neatly and clearly. Answer them. Mother is Earth, planet Earth. Father is sun of the solar system. I start the conversation, I end the conversation.